All right, let's get this squared away. Screen shared, camera shared, lights and action. How's everybody doing? My name's Stuart Davis. Welcome to the show, Flawed Man of God. This is our nice, cozy little spot to hang out and talk about the faith, talk about Christianity for new and old believers alike. If you are somebody who is well versed in the faith, maybe you are smarter and more well read, maybe more secure in everything God related than me, or maybe you're just trying to find out what this is all about. It doesn't matter. You're welcome here, not just to be a audience member, but also a participant, a member of the chat. We talk about a lot of things here. Some of it on topic, some of it off topic. But we want to hear from you. And we want you to ask questions. Correct me at times, please. I want to start this off really by letting you know I'm not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, haven't been to seminary. I don't have those certifications, right? I don't have that education. This is a layperson stream hosted by a layman. So please take what I say with a grain of salt, but know that this is an honest place where I can tell you what I know from 42 years of being a Christian, my whole life. I don't really have a born again message for you, though I'm always willing to hear other people's testimonies. I'm just trying to do my part to spread the gospel, to spread God's word, and reach anybody who might want to listen. So please be part of the chat. We got a great group of folks tuning in night and night out, and you can be part of that. You can be part of the show. Greatly appreciate it. But whether you just want to listen or you do want to be in the chat, please, if you want to support the show, there's no money desired. All I would like is a like and a share, a subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification button just so you know when I'm streaming. And if it's a time where you can join, then great. Otherwise, you can always catch me on replay. Right now, we're in the middle of a project reading through the Bible from Genesis to Revelation. We are on the back half of Isaiah. So we're still in the Old Testament. And like to have you along. And with that said, let's get along. Alex Moore first in the chat tonight, and first comment from Alex since I came back this week. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you here. We were a bit off topic last night. We talk about, well, look, audience. Those of you who might be new, when I say we might get off topic, we do that from time to time. Alex is the first to say, "Hey, let's chop, get down to brass tacks and talk about the word." Jenny ELJ is here. What's going on, Jenny? This is kind of early from you. Usually you join in a few minutes into the stream, but it's good to see you. Same thing with you, Thad the Man. We're currently Reds are currently losing to the Pirates right now. I don't know what the Cubs are doing. Might have the night off. And Alias coming in with the not a gold, silver, or bronze, but a honorable mention, fourth in the chat. Glad to have you guys along. Guys, it's been good so far. And we really don't have much to update with. I will say, if you guys want to, and it's a relatively trivial thing when you think about all the things that are going on. But if you want to say a prayer, my son has soccer tryouts for middle school tomorrow. And it would be nice if he was in your thoughts, that he makes, whether he makes the team or doesn't, that he has a good tryout. Then he comes along, it comes away from it, even if he doesn't make it, with his head up, that he tried his best, and me and him can get into conditioning, because if he's not on the team, with the team conditioning him, his daddy's going to do it. So he's ready for next year's tryout. He's just sixth grade, low man on the totem pole, but looking forward to a good. Would be nice. It would be a nice start to a new school in a new grade or new um, era of education. Walking into a new school where he knows hardly anybody, with some success already at his feet. So if you want to do that, that would be great. I would appreciate it. Like I said, relatively trivial in the grand scheme of things, but I know it would mean a lot to him. Anyway, so with that said, we don't really have anything else to no small talk stuff to slow us down, Alex. We're gonna get right into it. This is our last stream of the week, and here we go. Last two chapters were pretty uplifting. I like them. They're good. They were good, especially chapter 51. Good when you are lacking hope, when you do feel a little bit of the weight of the world on you, when anxiety is getting from you. I know a lot of people have anxiety about things. We all have things that kind of bother us, worry us. If you're a parent, you've got kids, you're always worrying. I guess even when you become a grandparent, as great as everybody says it is, I'm sure you're still worrying about your kids and worrying about your grandkids too. But I just know from my experience that you're always worrying about your kids. They're always a point of stress, just where they're going, if you're doing things the right way, whatnot. Then you've got people with health concerns. You got folks with other loved ones, financial struggles, career struggles, mental illnesses, stuff like that. Just like a lot of stuff that can come into our lives that can give us stress. Some of it lingers. Some of it is just for a season or less. But the cure for all things is the Lord. And we can find the daily dose in his word, in his promises, that even though things are rough now, it will pass. Even if it is for the rest of your life, something you're going to struggle with, it will pass. And as your body passes away and your soul goes to join with the Lord, you will have that relief. You will have that hope and exultation and salvation. So don't let it consume you. Don't let it pull you away from God. Don't let it get to you to the point of despair where you give up on everything. Have faith and hope. And chapters like 51 are a good place to start if you need a reminder. And we all need reminders from time to time. Now, looking like we might be getting into a little bit more of this in Isaiah 52, though it might be more. I don't know. I don't know 52 off the top of my head, but it says, cheer for downtrodden Zion. Sounds a little uplifting, right? We know that Isaiah can sometimes pull the rug out from under us, be like, hey, things are going to get better. But don't forget how you got here in the first place, you degenerates. You disappointed God to the point where he had to do all this. He shouldn't have had to do this. But he loves you, and he's going to make things better in the end. But it's going to be tough because you asked for it, you jerks. It happens sometimes. We've seen this in Isaiah. So don't be surprised if it changes direction. But let's be positive right now. It's Thursday, right? Like I said, last stream of the weekend. We're looking at Friday coming in. Let's end it on a note of Hope that Friday will be great. Hope that the weekend will will be relaxing. I've got trees to cut. I got stuff to do. But I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, all right, cheer for downtrodden Zion, chapter 52. Awake, awake. Put on your strength, O Zion. Put on your beautiful garments. O Jerusalem, the holy city, for the uncircumcised and the unclean will no longer come into you. Shake yourself from the dust. Arise, O captive Jerusalem. Rid yourself of the chains around your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For the Lord says this: you are sold for nothing, and you will be redeemed, but not with money. For the Lord God says this: my people went down at the first into Egypt to live there, and many years later, Sennacherib the Assyrian oppressed them without cause. But now, what do I have here, declares the Lord, seeing that my people have been taken away without reason? Those who rule over them howl with taunting and mockery of salvation, declares the Lord. And my name is continually blasphemed all day long. Therefore, my people shall know my name and what it means. Therefore, in that day, I am the one who is speaking. Here I am. How beautiful and delightful on the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news, who announces peace, who brings good news of good things, who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns. Listen, your watchmen lift up their voices. Together they shout for joy, for they will see face to face the return of the Lord to Zion. Break forth, shout joyfully together, you ruins of Jerusalem, for the Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. The Lord has bared his holy arm, his infinite power before the eyes of all the nations, revealing himself as the one by whom Israel is redeemed from captivity, that all the ends of the earth may see the salvation of our God. Depart, depart, go out from there, the lands of exile, touch no unclean thing. Go out of the midst of her, Babylon, purify yourselves. You who carry the articles of the Lord on your journey from there, for you will not go out in a hurry, as when you left Egypt, nor will you go into flight, fleeing as you did from the Egyptians. For the Lord will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rear guard. Like this. Very nice. Very nice. Protection, right? Starts off, like you said, uplifting. Uplifting. What's going on, Matt? Matt wasn't already in yet, Matt. Just arrived. Uplifting. Get up. Pay attention, Zion. I know things look bad right now. I know you're down and out. You've been conquered. You've been humiliated. You're being oppressed. You're in slavery right now by those dastardly Babylonians. You will be redeemed, but not with money. The Assyrian oppressed them without. What did God comes out? What do I see here? My people, they've taken them away. The people who have conquered them are insulting me. Well, we could do something about that. I'm going to make myself known. And there it goes into what looks like a poem of some sort. Where he's talking about how beautiful and delightful on the mountains are the feet of him who brings good news. Everybody loves that. Everybody loves the messenger bringing good news. You can hug them. Shout for joy. Who announces peace, brings good news of things, announces salvation. Your God reigns. What news is better than that? Everybody shouting for joy. Shouting joyfully together. Lord has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. He's using his infinite power before the eyes of all the nations. So everybody knows who done it. And this really is, at times, we see, when you think about it, actions like this, where God is making an example, a very loud, a very overt example of his power and of supremacy, getting involved firsthand directly into things. When you see that, it this isn't the first time. We go back to Egypt and what he did in Egypt. Everybody knows he doesn't have to be so overt unless perhaps he's trying to make a point. Maybe he's setting things up for the Gentiles, for us, that he's not just the king of the God of the Israelites. He's the God of all of us. And to use a word a lot of people don't like, it behoove the Gentiles to get their act together. Sure, they're not Israelites. They don't have an established covenant with God. But does that mean that their desire to do what pleases God will be rejected? Even at this point, we know from when Israel was established, there was a place for the foreigner. They didn't get all the privileges as a citizen, but they were welcome, assuming they would live as the Israelites lived. And eventually, with Christ, we see that extended we see that covenant extended to them, that salvation, that redemption. That just struck me about all that. But he goes, look, leave exile, get out of there. Don't do anything, don't touch any unclean thing, purify yourselves. Do the things that you know you're supposed to do, things that you weren't doing before the exile. Don't have to hurry. You don't have to run and flee. You are under the Lord's protection. And here we go. It's going to be this is a very short section right here. The exalted servant, indeed, my servant, the Messiah, will act wisely and prosper. He will be raised and lifted up and greatly exalted. Just as many were astonished and appalled at you, my people, so his appearance was marred more than any men, and his form marred more than the sons of men. He will sprinkle many nations with his blood, providing salvation. Kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what they had not been told, they will see, and what they had not heard, they will understand. We don't have to go very far deep into this to see the prophetic words here, but specifically 15, sprinkle many nations with blood, providing salvation. Raised up, greatly exalted. His appearance was marred more than any man, and his form marred more than the sons of men. There you go. All right, let's get into chapter 53. The suffering servant. Who has believed, confidently trusted in, relied on, and adhered to our message of salvation, and to whom, if what do you mean, Matt? got Trump talking to. No, we can back up. We've got time. We finished that chapter pretty quick. It's worth discussing. It's Messiah related. Hurry your typing up though, because we got dead air. And, shutting mouths and shutting mouths and then explaining things unheard. Are you listening? You talking about like Trump invoking scripture? I've been Are you talking about something recently or just in general? I have been very detached from a lot of the news today or over the past summer. I haven't been paying much attention. I have been blissfully disconnected, and that's good. From at least from that stuff. At least from that stuff. Been trying to read more. Spend time just cooking. Cooking. Oh, okay. So we found a place to pause, then different endurance, prayer, God's plan, etc. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't even I might have even been on vacation for the RNC this year. I don't remember hearing anything about it. I was very confused. Sorry. But good for him if that's the case, because like I said, there's a lot of people who look at him as probably more um pious than he is, or more, I don't know, almost as a King David figure. He's not. He's not. He's a deeply flawed and with a very checkered past. Not to say that he can't be good or he doesn't have salvation. He doesn't have faith, but he has not struck me as the. Okay. I'm talking a delayed timeline, not anything this year. I meant 2024 RNC. Okay, well, I'm old and I can't remember anything. But no, it's good. It's good. I mean, you see that, and I mean, this is historically true too. The church has when the church has flexed its muscles, it has caused uh, political waves, deep political waves. And so you can say uh, there is some deep truth to that. All right, yeah, let's get back in here. Who has believed, confidently trusted in, relied on, and adhered to our message of salvation? And to whom, if not us, has the arm and the infinite power of the Lord been revealed? For he, the servant of God, grew up before him like a tender shoot plant and like a root out of dry ground. He has no stately form or majestic splendor that we would look at him, nor handsome appearance that we would be attracted to him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and pain, and acquainted with grief. And like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we did not appreciate his worth or esteem him. But in fact, he has borne our griefs, and he has carried our sorrows and pains. Yet we ignorantly assumed that he was stricken, struck down by God, and degraded and humiliated by him. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was crushed for our wickedness, our sin, our injustice. our wrongdoing. The punishment required for our well-being fell on him, and by his stripes and wounds we are healed. All of us, like sheep, have gone astray. We have turned, each one to his own way. But the Lord has caused the wickedness of all of us all, our sin, our injustice, our wrongdoing, to fall on him instead of us. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth to complain or defend himself. Like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that is silent before her shearers, so he did not open his mouth. After oppression and judgment, he was taken away. And as for his generation, his contemporaries, who among them concerned himself with the fact that he was cut off from the land of the living by his death, for the transgression of my people, to whom the stroke of death was due. His grave was assigned with the wicked, but he was with a rich man in his death, because he had done no violence, nor was there any deceit in his mouth. Yet the Lord was willing to crush him, causing him to suffer. If he would give himself as a guilt offering and atonement for sin, he shall see his spiritual offspring. He shall prolong his days, and the good pleasure of the Lord shall succeed and prosper in his hand. As a result of the anguish of his soul, he shall see it and be satisfied. By his knowledge of what he has accomplished, the righteous one, my servant, shall justify the many, making them righteous, upright before God, and right standing with him. For he shall bear the responsibility for their sins. Therefore, I will divide and give him a portion with the great kings and rulers, and he shall divide the spoils with the mighty, because he willingly poured out his life to death. It was counted among the transgressors. Yet he himself bore and took away the sin of many, and interceded with the Father for the transgressors. Now, the footnotes here don't really provide any context, just clarifications on some words, which I think 53 is pretty straightforward, right? Very, very heavily messianic here. Talking about who's got faith in God, and through whom has God been revealed. And he talks about the rising of the birth and ascendance of Christ. No stately form or majestic splendor, nor handsome appearance that we would be attracted to him. He's despised and rejected. And here we see not the miracles of Christ explained, more the end, right? When he was despised and hated. Sup, Emmanuel. He was despised and hated at the end when they cursed him and threw stones at him and laughed at him as he carried the cross. And they ridiculed him. We did not appreciate his worth or esteem him, but in fact, he has borne our griefs, carried our sorrows and pains. And you see, this is a little bit more personal. We're going to talk about how he carried our transgressions, but this goes beyond that. That's not what we see in verse 4. Isn't our sins. This is the things, the weight on us, griefs. What are we mourning over? What has us down? Our sorrows, our pains, our afflictions, things that we deal with, from relationship troubles to personality shortcomings, all the way to cancer and physical ailments and debilitating things. And when we're mourning the loss of parents, friends, siblings, even kids, Jesus is there bearing that burden with us. Even when we're not, even kind of when we're not looking for it, he's there. When at the time he was doing this for the people in his time during the Gospels, they just didn't care. Stricken, struck down, thought God was doing this to him. But the reason this was going on was because of us, right? He was wounded for our transgressions, crushed for our wickedness, all on our. And I love how the Amplified really hammers this home: our sin, our injustice, our wrongdoing. Boom, boom, boom. The punishment required for our well-being fell on him. And his stripes and wounds we are healed. And then we have the sheep, right? The sheep analogy. We see it here in Isaiah. We see it throughout. The Lord caused the wickedness of us all to fall on him. And again, the Amplified with the great clarification or the addition at the end. All of it to fall on him instead of us. In case it was not in case it was not obvious. Oppressed and afflicted. He didn't open his mouth to complain or defend himself. There's a moment where he is brought. Was it when he's brought before Pilate, or was it when the Pharisees were questioning him, accusing him? He's just silent. He's not talking to them. There's really nothing to say at that point. He knows why. Again, when we get to that point in when we get to the Gospels, when Christ is arrested and taken, he knows. Look, this is the big reason he was here. He's there to fulfill prophecy. He knows what's going on. What's going on, Carl? He knows what's going on. He knows that outside of bringing the heavenly host down to smite all these Pharisees, they're not going to listen to him. But that's not why he's there. He's not down there to smite people. He's there to save them, because what does he say? Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And again, we did not appreciate his worth or esteem him. We ignorantly assumed he was stricken, struck down by God, and degraded and humiliated by him. Well, we don't know if he forgave the lawyers. Where we did. So he did not open his mouth. After oppression and judgment taken away, he was cut off from the land of the living. He was killed. And the stroke of death was due to us. His grave was assigned with the wicked, but he was with a rich man in his death. I don't know if this is like a very prophetic twist of the man giving up the tomb for Christ. But I don't know, because he had done no violence nor was in any deceit. Now, so he's a perfect being. And the Lord was willing to crush him, to cause him to suffer, if only because he was blameless. But not just that. Think of this again. We can be very self-absorbed, and part of this is the blessing of being created as man, as a human, by God, right? That we put ourselves on up here. Sometimes we put ourselves on the individual level, but we tend to put we tend to put ourselves on this plane, on this level. We're above everything on the planet. God gives us dominion over the earth, right? It's easy to forget we are nothing in comparison to God. So again, it's not just a innocent, blameless man who's going through all this. This is a piece of God going through this. When people say I would switch places to save X, or to save someone from going through something or experiencing death, I would trade places with them. This is God coming down for all of us to go through it. God does not ask of us to do what he is not willing to do himself. He would give himself as a guilt offering, an atonement for sin. He shall see his spiritual offspring. He shall prolong his days. As a result of the anguish of his soul, he shall see it and be satisfied by his knowledge of what he has accomplished. What's going on, Nico? My servant shall justify the many, making them righteous, upright before God, in right standing with him, and he shall bear the responsibility for their sins. Therefore I will divide and give him a portion with the great kings and rulers, and he shall divide the spoils with the mighty. He willingly poured out his life to death and was counted among the transgressions. That doesn't say that he didn't want to. He wasn't forced to do it. He asked if we even see that part in Gethsemane. Joined at Gethsemane when he asked, "Is there any other way?" No. Okay. I'm doing it. Yet he himself bore and took away the sin of many and interceded with the Father for the transgressions. Join at my favorite verse from the Isaiah. Which verse is that? Is it 12? Is it 11? Which one were you at? Where are we at, Nico? And the entire book? This is a good one too. This has been a really good stretch of Isaiah 50 through 53. It's been very good. Waiting for the response from the whole of Isaiah 53. How much of it fits Jesus? Oh yeah. It's a very Messiah heavy chapter. And we look, no rug pull here. We're not seeing Isaiah change gears on us, shift directions, and go. He does a little bit. He does a little bit here, because while it's nice to know that Jesus is doing, but don't forget why. Because of our crap, because of our sinful, degenerate, awful behavior. because we can't act right, all this has to go. Well, now, but he loves us. If this is not an expression of love, what can you ask for? If the God is willing to go through this for you, for us, isn't it worth having faith in him? Isn't it worth buying into what he's saying is good and right? This is why it's not a, well, was I a good person? This is why it's a, do you believe? And not just that God exists, but he is the king, the ruler, and what he says is correct, and what he decrees is good, and that you want to be a part of it, that you want to be a part of that as opposed to what you want, where your desires and temptation, what tempts you. Now, where's Muhammad in all this? It's all consistent. Wow, who would have thought it? It still baffles me that people say the heresy book is more consistent than the book of God. That book is not consistent. For our works are filthy rags to God. How is our heart leaning? And stay true to... I'll finish that up, Emmanuel. Nico says, people forget Isaiah 53:2. I was just thinking about it today. I think people idolize the image of Jesus too much. In the verse described, we should not be worshiping his form or appearance too much. That's a hot topic between the iconoclasts and those who disagree with them. But what we do know is that the heavenly, spiritual appearance of Christ is beyond comprehension, right? Beyond beauty. And I don't know the right answer to that. My personal conclusion, Nico, is to agree with you on that. But it has been, but there's the argument that was made in favor of icons, at least, and maybe not statues or what any of the other things, but icons, was that an image, like a picture is worth 1,000 words, an image can convey a story, especially among a largely illiterate population until, the last 100 years or so. And even to us who are able to read this and digest it and understand it, some of us are visual learners. Some of us gather things differently from visualizations. Saw Jude's arm yesterday. What did it look like? Thank you for presenting both views. I don't know if I did it justice. I'm just saying from the way I've seen it. And I did say, and look, I think there's a difference between the argument in favor of iconography or icons, and then and then at some point, the practice of them at times can be different. Like, look, like we all do. There is some things that are okay, but then but you can abuse that. Right? You can turn something that is intended to do one thing, and you can do something different with it. Right? People go too far, or people make, or people take people use something not as it's intended. People do that with the Bible, the Word of God, and they use it as a bully pulpit. Or they use individual lines as the way to twist things to their own ends. But that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing here is we're going to close out tonight. Emmanuel said there's one thing of praying and looking at the cross to help you hold your conviction, and another is to use the cross or other things as a look how pious I am. Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we see a lot with Christ in the, we just have a problem with that all the way around. Stay humble. We all can stand to stay humble and remind ourselves to accessory is the word I was looking for. We could all stand to be more humble. We can all find points where we might be out of line. So, with that said, let's go ahead and close up shop for the weekend. Emmanuel, Jenny, Matt, Felty, Nico, Carl, we know and love, Alias, Thad, Alex Moore, all you crew in the chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Glad to see the regulars come back after this break. Right, this first week's been a hit. I've got a lot of energy coming into this, and hopefully I'm translating that into how I'm presenting things. But it's also nice when what you're reading is as good as it is, right? But thank you guys for being in the chat, being who you are, and doing what you can with us, right, to make this show even better. For everybody who is watching and just listening along, maybe you don't want to chat or can't. That's fine. I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad you're finding something that's putting you in a place where you want to come back and listen to more. And I just appreciate your attention. Everybody who is catching this on replay, sorry I missed you, but thank you for watching. I hope to catch you live sometime soon. Everybody, have a good weekend. Have a nice, safe, productive, relaxing, enjoyable weekend. Go to church. Have a good night, and God bless.